Hey everybody, let's talk about the second part we're going to look at here, okay, of LMX. All right. And the first part, we looked at what exactly was that dyadic relationship, kind of a foundational component to it. Now we're going to look at the in-group and out-group formations. How do they form within the organization itself? How are they structurally formulated in a formal or informal setting, but usually there is some kind of a formalized component to it. Okay. Some of the early research that was done on this basically found two general linkages or relationships. Okay. One obviously, is the in-group, which expanded negotiated role responsibility above and beyond just the job description. Now we're talking about relationships that are marked, as I said earlier in the last subtopic area, that mutual trust, that respect. It's a reciprocal influence. Okay. It's not just the leader influencing the followers. The followers are actually can be influencing the leader to come, that's a good idea. You've changed my mind. Let's go this direction, kind of thing. They receive more information, more influence, more, the leader has more confidence in their abilities. Okay, the out group is just seen more as a formal, just basically defined roles, that formal employment contract. You come in, you do your 8 hours, this is a job you do, then you leave. I mean, that's basically it. It's basically marked by that formal communication based strictly on the job description. There's no more expectations besides just this. What does the job say? Okay, and then you do that job. There is no additional whatever, you can fill in the blank, additional help, additional opportunities, additional training. It's just, yeah, he does his job, so I leave him alone, kind of thing. Okay. In those early studies, the in-group and out-group status was based on how well followers worked with the leader. A lot, you could say that almost sounds like personality traits, and it is. It can very much be that. Okay, how well the followers work with the leader, and how well the leader works with the followers. That kind of relationship. This is where maybe we come up with that. He's a brown nose to the leader kind of thing. He's the leader's pet. All right. Yes sir, no, yes man kind of thing. That I've seen that too formalized, and it's never good, and it never ends well for either the leader or the follower, especially if the leader is no longer around, because everybody knows what kind of person the follower was that was kind of kissing up. All right. How followers involve themselves in this and expanding their role and responsibility with the leader determines whether they'll be in the in group or the out group. Okay. If a leader, if the manager, whatever phrase you want to use, if they ask you to do more work than you've normally been doing, all right, there's a reason for that. Okay. The leader must perceive you have the ability to do more than you're doing. Now, if you're not interested in that, you need to tell them that. All right. But then you're going to shift into the out group for sure. But you know what? There's a lot of people that don't want to be in the in group. They just want to come in, do their 8 hours of work, and then leave. They don't want to move up the organizational structure. They don't want to have a better relationship with anybody they work with on that leadership role. They just want to do their job and then leave. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's something that you as a leader have to figure that out up front, and then decide if that's something you're like, well, that's something you can live with. That's something that person, if that's all they can offer, then that's a positive attribute in relation to what you want from them. And to become part of that in-group involves followers negotiating and performance activities beyond the formal job description, go above and beyond what's expected. I always tell students, anytime you get a chance to increase your education or increase your skills through training at work, do it. Anytime you can get more education, formalized education, like a graduate degree, anytime you can add a skill that's directly related, something you've learned via training internally, like a computer program or a foreign language or whatever it might be, do it, because that will help segue you into the in group. Okay. There's an old phrase, what you know gets you in the door. Who you know determines where you go. The more contacts you make and the more skills that you possess, okay, you'll become a more valuable resource, and then you'll become a capability to the organization. And capabilities are what are utilized to establish core competencies, which lead to competitive advantage. Okay. Those skill sets will be yours. All right. So even if you do the organization, you take the skill sets with you, just like you take your education with you. Okay. Little chart on the left is from Northhouse's book, but it helps to show and solidify. You can see that in group right there. Okay. And you can see all the little followers in there getting that back and forth relationship with the leader. But if you notice one thing, look on the out group. Okay. You see all the little followers out there, and there's a little bit of a distance between them. There's no arrows going in direction. And if you notice real close, there's just a little bit of that leader hanging outside the in group. Okay. There's a reason for that. All right. It's not like the leader's half in the in group and half in the out group. Right. In the in group, you get more information, more influence, more concern from the leader. There's more dependability. They're highly involved. The communication with the out group. The out group may get only formal communication, things in memos and emails. Where the in group, you may have the leader sitting there talking to you face to face, getting your opinion, expressing stuff. The out group, yeah, less compatible with the leader. Usually go to work, do their job, and go home. That's all there is to it. 8 hours of work for 8 hours of pay. I actually had a couple hourly guys tell me that phrase once. I come in, do my 8 hours, and I leave. I don't want anything more to do here than just the job I'm doing. I don't want any more interaction with anybody that I don't have to. Plain and simple. That's okay. All right. The person that says that, yeah, they're going to be in the out group. You know what? They don't have a problem being in the out group, so that's fine. All right. From a motivational standpoint, they're going to give you exactly what the job description says, nothing more. And you may be completely fine with that. Right. But the thing is, from a leadership perspective, you need to know that. Okay. Initial research primarily addressed the differences in in-group and out-groups. And it was a differentiation of differences. Okay. You're looking at the differences between. Okay. Later research addressed how LMX theory can be related to organizational effectiveness. Okay. If somebody in the out group is highly effective and is high as a star, it's producing, okay, it might be in your best interest to try to find a way to get them into the in group if you're in a leadership position, okay, because they'll be even more effective in relation to what the organization measures as an outcome. Later research focused on the quality of the leader-member exchanges, resulting in a positive outcome for the leader, the follower of the group, and the organization. Everything in an organization adds or subtracts value. There is no wash rule. There is no up one, down one. Okay. Either something's got a positive marginal revenue, or it's got a negative marginal cost, but it's moving in one direction or the other. Okay. Equilibrium is nice in theory, but in reality, it doesn't really apply. Researchers found that high quality LMX exchanges, what did they result in? Okay. High quality means we're in the in group and maybe even at the top part of the in group, because there's levels within levels. Okay. There's, you can measure in statistics the difference between groups, and you can measure the difference within groups. Okay. There's even going to be differences within the in group. It kind of sounds funny. Differences within the in. Less employee turnover. Remember, these are individuals you don't want them leaving. You don't want anybody leaving the organization unless that happens, then you should remove them. That's called an involuntary turnover. Okay. So individuals that are adding value, individuals, especially in the in group that are adding value, you don't want them leaving, because they are a capability that helps you establish your core competency. Okay. You have more positive performance evaluations, higher frequency of promotions. Because why? Because you got that excess knowledge and skills that you're learning from internal training. Plus you got the recommendation of your supervisor. Okay. Where at Caterpillar, that was essential. If you wanted to move up in the organizational structure to a position higher than what you were currently in, yeah, you needed your recommendation of your immediate supervisor. Otherwise, it's not a good thing. Okay, plain and simple. You have a greater organizational commitment. When I get cut, I bleed yellow. All right. More desirable work assignments, better job attitudes, more attention and support from the leader. And that's more of the soft skill stuff. And for a lot of people, that is very important. And it is for everybody in a way. Okay. Hey, I still like to hear, in relation to you did an awesome job, that what we just turned in for assessment was perfect. Yeah, I like to hear that too. All right. Now, I know I did an awesome job. I've been doing this for quite a while, not just here, but I dealt with assessment accreditation before I came here. Yeah, I'm used to dealing with regional and national accreditation bodies. But yeah, I like to hear it. You get greater participation and, yeah, faster career progress. Sure you do. Okay. If some point in time in the future I decide that I want to be a dean and take a dean's position somewhere else, yeah, they're going to contact my boss here. They're going to contact the dean here and want to talk to him, and they should. Okay. And that would be a direct correlation helping me facilitate that movement in, and it wouldn't be within this university status, but my personal career advancement. Later studies, you got Gartner and Day here, and I got a couple of them I just mentioned. LMX consistently related to job performance, overall satisfaction, supervisor commitment. I mean, all things we would say are positive attributes in relation to the in-group from a measurement standpoint. Okay. And there was support for the psychometric properties of the LMX questionnaire. And if you're curious what that is, you can look it up and find it online quite easily. All right. But it did measure what it was supposed to measure. Okay. Morgenstern and his group there, they did a meta-analysis, which is they analyzed 51 other research studies, and they did find a positive relationship between LMX and what they called citizenship behaviors. Okay, these were discretionary employee behaviors that go beyond their role, the job description, or reward system. You know, not just citizenship, but organizational behaviors. You know, helping out others, giving of your time to the company on the weekend to do something, volunteering in the community, you know, kind of the corporate social responsibility before that was really a phrase. Okay, that it's out there in the world. Hillhang and So, it's just another reference. These are later studies that, you know, more later in relation to the early 1970s, or the work relationships co-constructed through communication, which basically says it was a 50, not a 50-50, but a partnership in relation to establishing that in-group line. Communication, yeah, it's a dyadic, up and down. But you know what? It's becoming more closely to horizontal in relation to symbiosis with the leader. Okay, the up and down, that vertical component shows that decision-making apparatus. Your boss is your boss makes the final call. But as that relationship, that in-group relationship is constructed, that dyadic, that vertical diode starts to even out more. It's not horizontal, obviously, but it starts to get closer and closer to that X line, that horizontal line. The greater the amount of electronic communication between the leader and the followers led to higher LMX. The more you're in contact, okay, you know, via whatever, on the phone, on the Zoom, on whatever it might be, okay, the stronger and the higher that internal in-group relationship becomes. And the stronger it becomes, the greater the return in relation for the follower, but also for the leader too, because the follower becomes more heavily intrinsically motivated, and therefore when they get cut, they do bleed yellow. That kind of a caterpillar analogy there.